78.8 million identity records. Names, social security numbers, home addresses, pulled from a data warehouse inside Anthem, America's second-largest health insurer. The largest health data theft on record at the time. It started with one phishing email 11 months earlier. Nobody at Anthem saw it coming. On January 27, 2015, an Anthem database administrator noticed a query running under his own login, one he never started. He stopped it. He called information security. 1 week later, on February 4th, Anthem told the public a very sophisticated external cyber attack. Anthem was not a startup. Formerly WellPoint, it insured roughly 37.5 million people through its family of health plans, second largest health insurer in the country. The kind of company that touches a doctor's visit, a prescription, a hospital bill for millions of American families. Think of a phishing email like a fake delivery slip slid under an office door. Someone signs for it without checking. On February 18, 2014, an employee at an Anthem subsidiary opened one. Malicious code wrote in behind it. No firewall breach. No stolen server. Just one click. From there, the path was mechanical. Malware planted a backdoor. Attackers moved sideways across the network, then found and used valid database administrator credentials. Eventually, they reached Anthem's enterprise data warehouse and started running queries that looked like ordinary work. Here's the first turn. One email in February. The warehouse itself was not reached for another 9 months. Why did the door stay open that long? State insurance examiners later described roughly 11 months of access inside Anthem's network, from that February phishing email to January shutdown. Along the way, at least 50 accounts and at least 90 systems were compromised. 11 months, quiet, inside the second largest health insurer in the country. The data itself sat unencrypted, according to regulatory filings, readable the moment someone got inside. That became the headline. But security researchers noted something colder. Stolen administrator credentials can unlock encrypted data just as easily. The real failure was not the padlock. It was who still held the key. What actually left that warehouse? Full names, dates of birth, social security numbers, health insurance ID numbers, home addresses, emails, phone numbers, even employment and income details. Identity information at industrial scale. Anthem said at the time there was no evidence credit card or banking numbers were compromised. No evidence medical claims, test results, or diagnostic codes were even targeted. That sounds reassuring, until you remember what a social security number tied to a health insurance ID can steal by a criminal. Second turn. One database administrator caught one rogue query on one ordinary Tuesday. The real question, how many queries ran successfully before that? Federal regulators later pointed to a window between December 2nd, 2014 and January 27th, 2015. Suspicious queries began sporadically around December 10th, some blocked automatically, others not. 3 days after the administrator's discovery, on January 30th, Anthem recorded the attacker's last successful activity inside its network. According to the federal indictment, stolen records were bundled into encrypted archive files, then moved out through a Citrix ShareFile trial account, first to servers in the United States, then on to China. Afterward, the local archives were deleted. A cleanup, prosecutors allege, built to erase the trail. Anthem's chief executive at the time, Joseph Swedish, said his own personal information was inside the stolen files. Not a hypothetical customer. The company's own CEO. A faceless insurer had just become very personal, even for the people running it. Insurance regulators later found roughly 12 million of the people caught in the breach were minors, children who cannot yet watch their own credit. Anthem offered them a protection program built to work like a freeze. A child's social security number can sit quiet for years before anyone notices it was ever stolen. Third turn. State insurance examiners called Anthem's pre-breach defenses reasonable. Federal health regulators called those same defenses inadequate. Same breach. 2 verdicts. Who actually failed? The number everyone remembers, 78.8 million, is not one clean group. Roughly 60 to 70 million were current or former Anthem members. Millions more were people who simply used care in an Anthem-run state through other Blue plans. And nearly 14 million records were so incomplete, Anthem could not even tie them to a name. State insurance examiners said they identified the attacker with high confidence. They said, with only medium confidence, that a foreign government was likely involved, without naming one. A cybersecurity firm outside Anthem's own investigation later pointed publicly toward a China-linked group nicknamed Deep Panda. Unofficial, unconfirmed, unresolved for years. The wait for a name ended in 2019. On May 9th, federal prosecutors in the Southern District of Indiana unsealed an indictment against Fujia Wang, also known as Dennis Wang, and an unnamed co-conspirator. Charges included conspiracy to commit computer fraud, identity theft, and wire fraud. Wang, prosecutors said, was a Chinese national believed to be living in Shenzhen and still at large. 3 other American companies in technology, materials, and communications were named as victims of the same alleged campaign, according to the indictment. Anthem was not an isolated target. It was one file in a much larger case. Give Anthem credit where the record supports it. Once the breach was confirmed, examiners said the response was rapid and effective, attacker access removed within roughly 3 days. But federal regulators later found deeper failures dating back to that first phishing email. No enterprise-wide risk analysis, weak activity monitoring, inadequate controls on who could even reach the warehouse. By October 2018, federal health privacy regulators settled with Anthem for $16 million, the largest HIPAA settlement of its kind at the time. Regulators cited failed risk analysis, poor access controls, and slow incident response, tracing back to that original phishing door. In August 2018, a federal judge approved a class action settlement worth $115 million, at the time, the largest data breach class settlement in American history. The fund covered credit monitoring and reimbursement up to $10,000 per claimant, or $50 cash for those already covered elsewhere. Reporting said that payout exceeded Anthem's own $100 million cyber insurance policy. Anthem admitted no wrongdoing. 2 years later, in September 2020, Anthem paid $39.5 million to settle with 42 states and the District of Columbia. Michigan's own filing alone counted 636,000 residents. A national map of paperwork, 5 years after one phishing email. Open questions remain. Why did a data warehouse stay reachable for 9 months after that first phishing email? How many queries ran before one administrator noticed his own login misbehaving? And with 14 million records too incomplete to even identify, who are the victims nobody could name? The lesson is not exotic. Enterprise-wide risk analysis. Real limits on who can query a warehouse holding tens of millions of records. Faster review of unusual account activity. The same review that eventually caught this, just months too late. If you were affected, watch your credit file and your health insurance statements for accounts you never opened. This was never only a hacked server. It was 11 months of quiet access, one warehouse, and 78 million people who found out from a press release. Figures here come from state and federal filings, court settlements, and reporting from cribs on Security, Network World, and the Associated Press. Full links live in the description. Which corporate failure should we open the file on next? Corporate breach. Case closed until the next breach filing.